Hello, everybody. Welcome to the New York History Show, the #1 show in the nation for your New York history. Today we have a great story about Peter Stuyvesant, a man from Netherlands who came over to New York, which was at the time New Netherlands, and took power, gained control, and straightened everything out. So the story of Peter Stuyvesant really begins in 1609, when the Dutch sent explorer Henry Hudson to New Amsterdam, which is modern-day New York, and he discovered Manhattan. So when he got to Manhattan, he saw that the Native Americans had good trades with fur and that it would be profitable for the Dutch to send colonists over. So he called his bosses and to send colonists over, which looked a little something like this.
Dear boss, it is I, Henry Hudson, and I have discovered the Manhattan, as I have called it, named it, and claimed it. The Native Americans here have amazing fur trade. We must send colonists from Netherlands as soon as possible. Yours truly, Henry Hudson.
After Hudson had reported to his bosses, the Dutch company sent over 100 colonists in 1623, and they made 2 new colonies in New York, the Manhattan area, called New Amsterdam and New Netherlands. And in these colonies, they were not searching for religious freedom as other immigrants were coming from other countries. They were looking for jobs because the Dutch company employed them as their job to live in the colonies, trade furs with the Native Americans, and send them back to Dutch for money. And that's what these people did. Now, they weren't just Dutch. They were many different races and ethnicities that came to live in these 2 colonies, and it was just a working colony. This is when the story of Peter Stuyvesant begins. Born in 1612 in Friesland, Netherlands, he was the son of a minister, but he did not choose to go that way. He went by Petrus, which was the Latin version of Peter. So, he went to college, and when he was in college, he got kicked out for sleeping with his landlord's daughter. Petrus, it's time to pay your rent. Open up. Are you in there? What's going on? Is that my daughter? You're never going to college again. It was after this when Peter Stuyvesant joined the Dutch naval trading world in Brazil. At this time, the Dutch Navy was much more powerful than the Spanish Navy. So Dutch was invading Spain and taking over the islands. And it was in the invasion of the St. Martin's Island, where Dutch went into Spain and took over the St. Martin's Island, that Peter Stuyvesant lost his leg.
My leg!
So when Peter had his leg blown off, it was 1644. So he was sent back to Netherlands, where he was fitted with a peg leg and recovered. During this time, he got married and recovered and was ready to work. So he went back to the West Indies Trading Company, said he was ready to work, and at this time, the colonists in New Amsterdam were complaining about their leader. So they saw Peter as a perfect opportunity to put him as the new leader of New Amsterdam, having already been a commander of the trading company.
Oh, sir, I'm ready to work again.
Already? Did you recover that fast?
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't think we have any commanding positions in the Navy anymore, but we do have a leadership opportunity in the New Amsterdam colony. You would be the leader there. Are you ready for that?
Yes, I am, sir.
You do realize it's crazy out there. You will have to control those people, correct?
Yep.
All right. Well, Peter, looks like you're going off to New Amsterdam.
Yay.
So I'd like to welcome my co-host, Jared Boyla, who got a little caught up in traffic, but he's here now. Come on out, Jared.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Nice to see you, Jared.
Thank you very, very, very much.
So give them a little bit about your qualifications.
Well, as you know, I graduated from the great DeMatha High School, and I went on to Anne Arundel Community College, where I was very successful, like getting C grades. And then I went on to be a professor at Harvard instantly. I was there for about, I think it was 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like 36 years old. Even though my age doesn't show it, I'm pretty old.
So we know our stuff about history. So 1647, what did Peter do?
This is when he first came to New York, or what is known as New Amsterdam.
No, I think it was Amsterdam.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so he comes up New Amsterdam. 1647. What was it like? Were they happy to see him?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was like pomp and circumstance. Well, not pomp and circumstance, but everyone was excited. People were shooting guns off and going bang, bang, bang.
Did they have guns like that?
I'm sorry. Okay, they'll be bang, 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 bang. So
Okay.
it's still pretty exciting, you know.
Okay. And so Peter Stuyvesant showed up immediately, and he had like imperious style of ruling. He kind of just told people what to do. And there's a direct quote, and he said, "I shall govern you as a father would to his children for the advantage of the West India Trade Company." So that gives you a little bit about how he wanted to rule. He said father to children, so it's obviously a very role model, commanding type.
2 boys to be exact.
2 boys, of
Yeah.
course.
Married 1 wife.
And then Stuyvesant really came in and just changed everything and made it good in the New Amsterdam colony, which is funny because do you know what Stuyvesant means?
Doesn't it mean sand, mixing sands?
Yeah, it means to
Yes.
stir up sand.
There
So
we go.
Peter Stuyvesant came in the colony and definitely stirred things up. So when Peter Stuyvesant first got to the New Amsterdam colony, after his inauguration, he appointed 5 people to be his advisors and help him, but he didn't listen to them, ever. So they get pretty ticked off.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it this way. Okay, think of Peter as a daughter and the advisors as a mom. Peter asks for advice about a dress, green or blue. The mom says, I like the green one. But, you know, the daughter's like, I like the blue one more, so I'm not going to listen to you. Thanks for the advice anyways.
So that would make the mom pretty mad, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they feel pointless and like, why did you waste my time, you know?
So the mom in this case are the advisors and the colonists, because the colonists know that Peter's ruling by himself.
Yeah.
Well, so in 1648, some of the reforms Peter did throughout this time period, he built the first pier on the East River, which is good, because now they can get products and ship them out.
Yeah, ports are very important.
1652, they built the first Latin school, and Peter Stuyvesant created the first speeding laws.
Oh, you said speeding laws? Like, they didn't have cars back then.
Yeah, they didn't have cars, but they had horses and carriages. And if you think about it, if that ran over somebody, that could really hurt somebody.
That's true. Like, how much horsepower do they have?
Well, I'd say 1 horse is 1 horse, so that's 1 horsepower. So if
There
you
you
had
go.
2 horses, you have 2 horsepower. We're historians, not mathematicians. 1653, I done goofed. 1653, Peter Stuyvesant built the first prison to keep all the bad guys in.
The murderers, the rapists, you know, the usual.
The city tavern, he transformed into the city hall. So it went from the place you drink to the place you create laws.
I mean, you know, taverns are very important. I'm sure they're very well made, so you can't like burn them down or destroy them in the drunken rage. So I mean, I feel like, you know, it's a good place to turn into a city hall, and everyone knows where it is. So you know.
And then all in the same year, the prison, the tavern into city hall. This is all 1653. And the final thing Peter did that year was install a city night watch, like police. So keep the city in check.
Yeah. And then 1655, the first lottery was held, right? It was.
How did that go?
It went well. I mean, I don't know how they. What do you think? Did it TV? No.
No, they didn't have TV. I imagine they just had people in the street that would just like say, "Hey."
53-1, everyone. Okay, and then what happened next? I think it was 1556.
Yeah.
The first hospital was opened.
No. I think that was after. They had to find out how many people were in the town first.
Oh yes, this is when the first. What would you call this?
Like a census.
A census. Yes, the first census was held. There was 120 houses in which contained 1,000 people. So you know, it's a pretty low population.
So
I mean,
out of 1,000 people, you probably have a good chance of winning that lottery.
yes,
That was in
you probably do.
1655.
Yeah, more than likely have a good chance.
And then 1657, that was when they created the first
Hospital, right?
Yeah.
And the hospital was to, you know, help the sick, people with broken legs, any flesh wounds. Hopefully they fix. I'm sure they normally fix people by just amputating limbs.
Yeah.
It's a good solution.
I don't think they were very advanced in medical science yet.
Not yet.
And Peter Stuyvesant, what a guy, right?
Yeah, he sounds like a great man. Look, all the things he just opened. I mean, it's gonna help a lot of people.
Yeah, well, the people should love him, but they don't. They actually hated him
Why?
because they thought his ruling style was kind of like a monarch, an imperial style of ruling. So he kind of stripped away some rights so he could clean everything up, and then he had his 5 advisors, but he never listened to them. So an important person in the New Amsterdam colony was this lawyer.
Adrian Donck.
Yeah,
He was important.
he was the lawyer for New Amsterdam as an entire city, and
As well as Peter Stuyvesant at the same time.
so that was a little confusing.
Well, he was really put in the middle of, a person in a group of people who are really not on the same page yeah.
Well, Peter, so he had to represent Peter Stuyvesant. So Peter was in his own world,
Of course.
ruling how he wanted to rule, but he also had to be on the side of the people. And Adrian Donck knew that the people weren't getting all their rights because that was the way that Peter was ruling over them.
Exactly. I think it was then like in 1653, he went back to just regular Netherlands, and he appealed to
The state general.
The state general, yes, and he asked if he could get more rights for the colonists there, and he did agree with it. So after that, New Amsterdam became an actual city instead of just Westport India Company, right?
Yeah.
So they
so
got citizenship.
that was in 1653, but it wasn't until 1657 that the people living in New Amsterdam actually became citizens.
Takes a while. I mean,
And
4
so,
years isn't much to complain about.
so Donck, we have to thank him a little because of him, the citizens got more rights, so they were treated fairly now
Yes,
Under-
because of Donck.
under Peter Stuyvesant's ruling.
Well, yeah, if it was just Peter, they wouldn't have gotten anything at all. So they should be happy.
And actually, Jews tried to migrate to the New Amsterdam colony.
Yes, and Peter didn't want them to come in. For some reason, he doesn't like Jews, or probably just doesn't like minorities in general.
So, but they did come in because Donck was able to convince Stuyvesant.
Yes, but doesn't Stuyvesant normally have more power than Donck? How does that work?
Yeah, well, so Stuyvesant does have power over Donck, but they had a good working relationship. So if Peter Stuyvesant said no and Donck said yes, Stuyvesant would actually listen to Donck
He
because
would actually listen to him?
because if he didn't, because
Wow.
he was his lawyer, and if he didn't listen to him, Donck could easily just go back to Netherlands, like he did when he pled to the State General for rights. So Peter probably knew that if Donck didn't get what he knew that he wanted, he could just go back to Netherlands.
Exactly. Okay, so Peter Stuyvesant, he kept the colonies safe, from other colonies. And there were 4 other colonies around New Amsterdam.
Were they friendly?
I would say they were mutual.
Where were they from?
Well, one of them was from the Connecticut area, and what Peter Stuyvesant did, he's a little unpredictable. He's a little nuts, I guess you could say. So he decided.
Oh, these were English colonies, by the way.
Oh yes.
New Amsterdam was surrounded by 4 English colonies.
Yes. And so he decided to steal a ship from the colony that was in the Connecticut area.
Why would he steal a ship? Well, what was his reasoning?
Maybe he was trying to make a dispute, or he just wanted a new ship. It's debatable. Anyways, so what he does, he steals a ship, which causes a border dispute, and so the colonies would have a meeting about this, right?
Yeah. Well, so the English were pretty angry that this guy from New Amsterdam just came and stole their ship. So they were pretty angry about that. So they were like, Peter, what the heck you doing?
And his response was, That ship was on my property.
And more than likely, Peter knew that that ship wasn't
Was
on
not
New
his
Amsterdam.
property, so
So his reasoning behind that was, and it was successful, is because he stole that boat. And they're like, "Why'd you steal my boat?" He said it was on my property. So because of him saying it was on my land, New Amsterdam,
it caused a border dispute.
yeah. And so that led to a meeting in 1660. The Treaty of Hartford was signed, which gave solid borders.
Which took place in Hartford, Connecticut.
And so after that treaty was signed, all those colonies, so 5 colonies, because there was a New Amsterdam colony, and then the 4 English colonies, all had official borders. So Peter Stuyvesant was responsible for creating borders in that area.
Peter, at first, when they first made the treaty, it wasn't really how he liked it, so he did some arguing, and then it turned out better for him, but not for other people. 1653, a war breaks out between Holland and England.
So at this time, the New England colonies were charging New Amsterdam with a conspiracy of teaming up with the Native Americans to go attack the Connecticut colonies. Well, Peter Stuyvesant and the New Amsterdam colony weren't planning to attack or get involved in the war. So they just built a big wall to keep everyone out.
Yes, and that wall was 2,340 feet and was stretched from the East River all the way to the Hudson River.
And so they had this big wall to defend against invaders and Native American attacks, but
They never came.
no, nobody ever
No.
attacked. Kind of a waste of effort.
Well, maybe the wall was intimidating them? No, probably not.
So 1645 to 1655 was a pretty peaceful time for New Amsterdam. Nothing really happened. No
Nope.
attacks from Native Americans, no attacks from other colonies. Everything was good.
Very peaceful.
But 1655, that all changed with our
Well-
friend settler Hendrik van Dyke.
Oh, yes. So he has property, and so this woman comes on it, and he shoots her, and she died. But it turns out that this woman was a Native American lady.
And all she was trying to do was just cop a peach for her family from Van Dyke's farm. And Van Dyke didn't like that, so pow pow, blocka blocka, he busted a cap in her.
Yes, and this is what caused the Peach War.
Yeah, so the Peach War, so next day, 2,000 Native Americans march in on New Amsterdam, and they didn't kill anybody at first. They were
Yeah.
just trying to intimidate.
They apparently did weird things like come in houses and like just destroy furniture.
They'd turn off all the lights and wait for colonists to come in
Wait,
and
you should turn off the lights?
candles,
Yes,
whatever.
they blew out the candles, which is probably a safety hazard anyway, so they did a good thing by that.
And they just wait for them to come home and then see the Native American faces with the paint. They'd leave. Well, so later in the day, they marched on settler Van Dyke's house and they killed him. And once they killed him, a battle broke out and 150 colonists, New Amsterdam colonists died.
Yes.
And 100 other colonists were sent to prison by the Native Americans. And it was up
To
to Peter
prison?
Stuyvesant.
That Peter Stuyvesant made.
And it was up to Peter Stuyvesant, and he did settle the war, and everything was good. And we lost our friend in that war.
Yes, we unfortunately lost the great Van Donck, which is very unfortunate because of all the great things he did.
Yeah, so Adrian van der Donck is gone now, so Peter Stuyvesant is kind of out of control with nobody to keep him on a leash like Van der Donck.
Yeah. 1665 is when King Charles II became the King of England. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to take control of the colonies that were
Now,
in the area.
just his colonies? Just the English colonies, or...
No, he just wanted all the colonies. But
Uh,
this was a problem for the Dutch because they were thinking he just wanted all the English colonies. So,
well, that's not good, because then they can't plan to defend themselves.
no, they can't. And that's exactly what happened. And so when they did come and they came into the New York harbor, Stuyvesant wasn't there. He was in Newfoundland because Well, because he just wanted to go there, and
He had no idea they were going to attack. The Dutch knew that the British were coming. They just assumed they only wanted the British colonies, not the Dutch colonies too. So
they sent a treaty letter,
a surrender letter.
to Stuyvesant while he was still in Newfoundland.
And so Stuyvesant got the letter, saw it, and said it wasn't properly addressed to him. So
He mailed it back.
yeah,
And so then does he go back to?
yeah, he does. He
He
goes
does
back
correct.
to New Amsterdam,
Yes, he does.
where they give him a new letter
Yes, and then he goes to his little committee of 5 people. And
that he doesn't listen to.
Yes, but goes to him anyways, and then he tears it up in front of them because
He did more than just tear it up. He dramatically ripped it apart in front of all his councilmen and in front of a lot of colonists.
Yes, people.
And he tried to rally them up. He's like, all right, we're going to fight the British. Who's with me? And then
no one would bend their cocks for him, so
no cocks were bent for the cause.
Nope, not a single cock.
You could say all cocks were unbent for this cause. Because they did not want to fight the British.
Nope.
High five?
Yes.
Okay. So they did not want to fight the British because they were going to lose. It was,
the British Army.
yeah, and
So-
one colony.
A little, maybe very small militia of colonists that
It's
were
like,
really weak.
think about
no
it like
guns
this.
or anything.
Parkdale High School versus DeMatha Catholic High School in football.
No chance.
There's just
It's
no
hopeless.
no further explanation needed. Okay, and then so Stuyvesant ripped it up. Who's with me? Nobody's with him
Not a
except
single
one
person.
guy. There was one guy who had a gun.
There was one guy.
So Stuyvesant said, "You know what? I like you. I'm gonna take you with me. Come
And
here."
They go to England together.
No,
They go.
they go up to where the English boats are,
Yes.
and
Still in America.
they were gonna fight. Stuyvesant and one man with a gun. Stuyvesant was willing to die for the colony independence,
Yes, they were.
but luckily,
They weren't killed.
yeah, an English minister was able to talk them down, and they
Yeah.
went back. To the
Mass
colony.
unbending of cocks.
The huge unbending of cocks. No shots were fired.
Not a single one.
Blocka. And then, so they get back to New Amsterdam, and the citizens had taped the surrender letter back together, gave it to Stuyvesant, and he signed it.
And then they basically just became another British colony. But which was good for the people because they actually got more rights from the British than they did from Stuyvesant. So it was
So they probably ended up getting treated better than when they were under Stuyvesant.
definitely
And so this is towards the end of Stuyvesant's
career.
big story, legend, I would say. What a man, myth,
Then-
legend.
He did. I'm pretty sure he went back to Newfoundland for a while, right?
No, he went back to just Netherlands. He was done with Newfoundland. He didn't like the women over there, but he went back to Netherlands, stayed there for less than a year, came back to what was then New York, which was a
And
British colony.
Lived there for the rest
Lived
of
there
his
for the rest of his days, and that's the legend of Peter Stuyvesant. So thank you for joining us
Thank you very much.
on the New York History Show, the #1 show for your New York history.
Yes,
I'm
is.
Dylan East.
I'm Jim Bob Jared.
And we out. High five. (1609) when dang it, I messed up the countries in my head. All right.
Yo, boss. These Native Americans got some good fur trade going down here. We need to get some troops over here ASAP. Alright.
They weren't just Dutch. They were many different races and ethnicities that came to live in these two colonies, and it was just a working colony. There was nothing else in. Bruh.
Oh, crap.
Okay, cut it.
Crap, I can't believe I did that.
Jared.
I couldn't help myself.
Unbelievable. Alright, stop.
That's not something you normally think about not doing.
Just stop. And then I'll say.
How did... Alright, let's... Stevenson.
and then King James II, and 6064.
You're killing me. Alright, are we ready? Thinking about it at all or prepared for anything. And so when they did come over, and they came over in which harbor?
The
No,
Look, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Stop.
Restarting.
Just to edit it. Look, we'll cut it right here. Ready, set, go. So they came in the New York Harbor, and
Alright, we'll just edit that part.
Okay.
Alright, you're
So-
saying New York Harbor,
Right,
and then I'll continue
all right.
with
Okay.
other crap. Okay.
So they came in the New York Harbor.
Okay. Yes, and they also sent a letter to Stuyvesant. That's supposed to be for him to. All right, let's stare at this camera for a couple seconds so it's easier to edit. 1665.
Good. Okay. High five.